I've always been a very active person, playing sports and things like that, just living an active lifestyle, liking, enjoying to go out and hanging with friends and family. When you have the fibroids, it just changes your life. You're tired, you don't have energy, you're irritable. You just don't feel like yourself anymore. You don't want to get dressed, to get up, to go out anywhere. You cope with it, but you begin to lose yourself. I had went through a myomectomy, and the recovery of that period was 6 to 7 weeks. You are being cut open. You're having a C-section, as if you were giving birth to a child. I knew going in that it may be a possibility that they may come back. When they came back, it's like they came back 10 times fold. And the thought of going through that process again I was terrified of doing that. So I said there had to be another way. I went online and I actually heard some of the testimonials and was up several hours in the evening just listening to the testimonials and just saying like, wow, this is my story. Shortly after the procedure, and I saw Dr. McLucas, I told him that I cry now because I don't have to cry anymore. Sometimes I don't even know my period is coming. It's regular, but I don't even know that it's here. I can wear color, I can not dress in black. The embarrassment, it's all gone. It's all gone. I'm a walking billboard for the Fibroid Treatment Collective. It's life-changing, and Dr. McLucas has changed my life. Get your life back. You don't have to go through the myomectomy. You don't have to have a hysterectomy. Even for your spouses, how it can affect, just your intimacy. If you've researched and you wonder, it should stop here. This is truly, the avenue for you, and it will truly, truly change your life. Truly change your life.
I was encouraged to go date on the online dating. I'm like, I will. Met somebody, decided to go out for dinner, and I knew my period was coming, and it was like the second day of it, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a disaster if I'm not equipped. So I wore dark clothes. I brought a backpack, a big purse, so in case something happened, I could cover my backside, because you just never knew. And we had dinner, we had a great conversation, and we got ready to leave, and he's like, let me help you up, and we were sitting at a booth, and I just didn't even want to slide over. And I slid over to get up, and the whole seat was covered in blood. I had bled through my jeans, everything, just irritated. That's the only word I can give it without using other expletives, just irritated. And the second time was my friend's brand new Escalade. My best girlfriends. Yeah, it was a murder scene in there. The fact that Dr. McLucas was one of the pioneers of fibroid embolization was huge for me. I'm like, this guy is an expert. He knows his stuff. He's done way more than 10,000 hours of study on this. And that was a huge factor for me, wanting to have someone that was hands-on in the beginning, the inception of it, and I know he went to Europe and studied under someone that had done it there and learned the craft, and that he was willing to bring that back here and reach a demographic of women that are kind of quiet about it. That was huge for me because I'm like, he cares. I will support him forever because of what he did for my life to make it better. Dr. McLucas has set his office up in such a way that you do feel like you're being treated like a A-list celebrity. 5-star treatment from the person that calls you and says, hi, I'm calling from Dr. Bruce McLucas's office to set up a consultation. Now you're in Arizona, and they talk to you. Okay, I'm going to call your insurance for you and find out if we cover. And then you come in and you get the procedure done, and they're there the whole time, and checking on you constantly, giving you warm blankets. Like, it's literally like the gold standard of how a human being should be treated that's getting a medical procedure done. I'm really strongly and passionately saying this because I think if more women knew about this procedure and what it actually involves and how great your life is going to be on the other side of it, that they would just jump and do it. I think that women aren't finding out about it is because they're not sharing that they have the issue. Partly, they're not talking about the fact that they have fibroids. I've met so many women since I've had this procedure that have called me and said, I have fibroids now, but I would have never known that. And these are people I've known, they just don't share it. They think it's normal, like I thought it was normal. So I think it's just lack of communication, between women, between doctors and gynecologists and radiologists. There is something that can help. And it doesn't have to be this traumatic, invasive body surgery where you're giving up your female parts. I'm telling you, sign up, get the consultation, and go handle it. Go handle yourself because you're worth it. Period. That's it.
My last miscarriage was horrible. And when I went to the doctor to find out why I was having miscarriages, they informed me that I had fibroids. They didn't know anything about embolization. My OBGYN didn't know anything. She recommended that I had the fibroids removed, and she said that they would come back. So, I mean, with that, and she's a woman, I was actually whining about this to my mom, and she asked me had I listened to KJLH. There was a commercial on there about Dr. Bruce McLucas and his team and the fibroid embolization, and I was hearing all these testimonials, and I was like, this can't be true. Well, he first examined me, and he said I had the fibroid the size of a small watermelon, and I was like, great. I was like, great. And he said, but the good thing about this is I can help you. And he was very, very, very approachable, very calming. So, and he seemed like he had very much experience. So I said, okay, what do I do? Life after the fibroid embolization was fantastic. I didn't even know what having a regular period was until I actually had a regular period. And it was great. There was less cramping, less pain. I wasn't anemic. And when we tried to have a second child, I didn't even the fibroids weren't even an issue. I mean, it was great. I mean, the doctor, the OB doctor where I had my son said, oh, be prepared for the worst. You'll go into preterm labor. You'll have all these complications. And I was like, all right, Dr. McLucas, this is your chance. And there was absolutely no complications whatsoever. I actually went full term with that pregnancy and ended up having a healthy baby girl. Her name is Jules Alexandria, and she's 2 right now, and she's full of energy. And she's probably my little mini me. She's great. She's great. When you get married and you see everyone else and your siblings having children and everyone else around you having children, you want to experience that same life and that same love. So it was very important because not only did I want my husband to be happy, I wanted us to be complete, and children seem to make everything complete.
Having fibroids affected me like in every aspect. At work, I could be in a meeting and I could feel it coming on, and I'd have to actually run to the restroom. I had a myomectomy, and the procedure was very invasive. They cut you open. It's very painful. The recovery time is very long, and they come back. With the embolization, I understand that there is cutting off of the blood supply that will not allow them to feed anymore, so it will prevent them from returning. When I found out that Dr. McLucas was the pioneer of this procedure, it impacted my decision to go to him hugely. It definitely made the difference that he pioneered it, and after meeting him, he just was so passionate about what he did. It really comforted me to know that Dr. McLucas was there from beginning to end. It honestly did. I didn't have to go from one doctor to another, and it was seamless. I recovered very quickly. I was able to go back to work within a matter of days. I honestly don't understand why more women don't know about this procedure. It's amazing. I have several friends who's plagued with fibroids, and just one recently. She and I had the myomectomy around about the same time. And she was scheduled to have another myomectomy, and I asked her why. One of the conversations we did have was her concern about them returning. You've had this procedure before, they returned, aren't you concerned that they'll return again? So she actually ended up having a partial hysterectomy. Yeah. Since having the fibroid embolization, I am able to live. Oh, I love it. It's freeing. It's awesome. I feel like I've gotten my life back again. Yeah.
When I found out I had fibroids, I was 31, and I had actually just started dating my husband. And we had been, talking about getting married, and I wanted children. So when I heard the risks of fibroids affecting your fertility, that was a big, like, oh my gosh moment. Like, I may not have kids. Are you kidding me? So when I did my research, the myomectomy would be basically they'd cut me open. I'd have a 6 to 8 week recovery, and there's no chance that, and 50% likelihood that they're going to come back. It's like, okay, those odds don't sound very good. I did make a consult to my friends who had the myomectomy, and all of them said it was 6 weeks of hell. I mean, in all honesty, it was really 6 weeks of a lot of pain, 6 to 8 weeks recovery off work. And I was like, I don't have that time. I don't want to spend that time laying in a hospital bed or laying at home worrying about being healed from a major surgery. Another one of my friends who actually recently had a baby post-myomectomy, one of her fibroids grew so big that, basically the doctor said it's like you're having twins. So I'm like, okay, so that's basically getting them out in terms of myomectomy is not a cure for it, and there's a chance that they're going to come back. Embolization can possibly not have them come back ever, and I still can possibly preserve my fertility. I'm like, okay, these, once again, myomectomy, embolization. Both risks, you read them, and it just is like, it's a no-brainer. It was really a no-brainer for me to do the embolization. A month after I had the embolization done, it was like somebody turned on a magic stick and just like put it on top of me because my bloating was down. I had no clotting whatsoever. It was my monthly periods were like, I'm like, oh my gosh, so this is normal. And then in 2010, my son was born, my son William. So we were very, very blessed. And I wanted the option to be able to deliver vaginally. I didn't want to have a C-section. And luckily, I was able to deliver William vaginally without a problem. It was amazing. It was just, I didn't have any symptoms. Everything was great. My fibroids were pretty much a non-issue at that point, which was just fantastic. I'm actually currently pregnant with my second child. And with the last ultrasound, they said they couldn't even find the fibroids. So it's been a life changer, like really a life changer where I've not had to worry about my fertility. I was able to deliver my son vaginally. Hopefully my daughter will be delivered the same way. Do your research. Literally, my scars are about the tip of my pinky. And I was up and around the next day. It was literally, I took a week off because that's what they recommended, but I could have gone back to work after a couple of days. And, if you're busy and you kind of I want to say a cure for it, I don't know how you can't research embolization because with new conventions, the old conventions sometimes just don't work anymore.
The worst thing about having fibroids was feeling like there was an alien inside of me. I had such horrible cramps. I had a feeling of heaviness, a feeling of being totally out of control. Well, it was devastating to my social life and to my professional life. Professionally, I was always concerned about having an accident at work. The worst thing you can do is to be prepared to stand up before people and then find that you have a big mess. All other doctors had told me that you have fibroids. Why don't you have a hysterectomy and take care of the problem? Because after all, you're approaching menopause. You're not going to have any babies. You're not going to need it. So take those things out. Let's get rid of the uterus and you won't have to worry about this. Well, I thought that was horrible. My oldest sister had had a complete hysterectomy at the age of 27, and she was devastated. The thing that impressed me most about the embolization was the simplicity, the ease, and the lack of extended downtime. Well, I thought it was like something out of science fiction at first, because I said, if it was so good, why doesn't everybody have one? Why isn't this widely known? Why are there so few doctors that do this procedure? My results were actually spectacular. It was the best thing that happened to me. I found out that in 3 days, I was up and about and doing everything that I wanted to do. I went back to work on the 4th day. I had a complete buoyance in my spirit. I just felt completely relieved. The thing that changed for me was a sense of freedom. I mean, it was actually euphoria. My message to any woman that's considering having a hysterectomy, my first word would be stop. Stop. The most important thing would be to feel that you can be a complete woman without fibroids, that you don't have to rely on any other medical interventions. You don't have to have your body invaded. You can get that problem taken care of with simplicity and ease. It'll be 12 years soon since I've had the embolization, and I've had no reoccurrence of problems. I have eased into menopause with grace and dignity, and I've had no adverse effects. I'd like to tell young women everywhere, women in their 20s, 30s, and even 40s, please don't delay. Please don't be deceived into thinking that there is something else that should be done. Have a simple fibroid embolization and relieve yourself of the stress of a life of misery. Enjoy life again.
Until I actually had fibroids, I didn't know how much that they could suck the life out of your body. I mean, literally, you don't want to go anywhere. You can't walk. I'm a single, working business professional, and it's hard to get out as it is when you're single. But if you're confined to home, you really can't go out and mingle with people. So while everybody moved off and got married and did their thing, I had to stay at home. So it's kind of like, you feel like a late bloomer trying to get back in the game. But it's very frustrating because, you really couldn't socialize. That was like the biggest thing. And, it's, when you're single, it's kind of hard. A lot of lonely times, When I first found out I had fibroids, I'd never heard of it before. So when I started talking to family members about it, oh, yeah, I had that once. Oh, so-and-so had that. Or, yeah, I've heard about those. It's like, okay, where's the dialogue? How come no one's ever mentioned this before? So when I first, my first gynecologist basically told me that the only way to get rid of them right now was to remove them via the myomectomy procedure or to get a hysterectomy. They didn't say hysterectomy right off the bat. They said once they went in and saw how many I had, then they said with 10, your best bet is probably, either you can remove them via myomectomy, however they can grow back. So really your best option is a hysterectomy. I didn't know enough about the situation to know that there could be other options. So I just thought, wow, this is the end of the world. I have to get a hysterectomy. I mean, mind you, I've been to 3 different gynecologists and all of them said, I'm the worst case scenario. I mean, one of my doctors said of his 25 years of doing myomectomies, I was his second worst case that he'd ever seen. So when I was sitting in my car and literally thinking about, I'm going to have to schedule a hysterectomy, and this radio ad came on introducing the Fibroid Treatment Collective, explaining about fibroids and that you don't have to have a hysterectomy. When I heard those words, those were the key words, and I perked up. And they said, check out the Fibroid Treatment Collective, go to fibroids.com, read up the information, come in for a free consultation. And I come in and I start telling my story, and I'm really dramatic, telling them all this information. Dr. McLuce is sitting there really calm. He's like, yeah, we can fix that. And I'm going, you can fix that? Like, that's the first time I ever heard anybody just calmly say, oh, no problem. Yeah, we can definitely fix that. It's doable. And I'm like, but they told me mines were too big. He said, they're not too big for embolization. No, they don't have enough information on it. We can definitely help you. But everything was just smooth. I come in and, they get you all geared up and everything. They said, everything's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. And, pretty sure I was out. When I woke up, I was like, oh, I didn't feel anything. To be able to go out and enjoy life again and not even have to think about, it makes you humble. And just to think that you have fibroids and your only option is a hysterectomy, I mean, come on. We're in the 21st century. Times are changing. So, they just need to be more educated on other options that are out there. And embolization is the top notch right now.
I think for so long I have had this problem that it became normal. It was normal. My relationship, I knew he was cheating on me. And I wish he would just say to me, you know what, I'm cheating on you. But he wouldn't say that because you know what, the truth is, I would say, honey, go ahead and have fun. I would have done that because I can't do for you what you want right now. I knew he was cheating and I knew it was a problem of me being uncomfortable with all the pain. It was very painful. So I could not enjoy myself and he wasn't enjoying himself with me. I found out about Fibroid Treatment Collective because I went online. I said, oh, I'll just type in removing fibroid without surgery. And I typed that in and, oh, the Fibroid Treatment Collective popped up. I went to get the fibroid embolization because I did not want to have a traditional surgery. And I have had the traditional surgery, and I did not want to go through another procedure where I know they're going to dig inside my uterus to get whatever they had to get out, or neither did I want to wait for them to grow. So I decided, okay, it's non-surgical, I'm done in a week, I can go back to work. So instead of being off a month, being off for 7 days beats anything. So I went online, I filled out the survey, I got a call the next day. By Friday, I had a consultation, and by Monday, I had the procedure done. I would describe fibroid embolization as a grape on a vine, and it cuts off the source of nutrients to it, and it just dries up like a raisin. So that's the way I actually describe it to my friends. The best part of getting fibroid embolization is knowing that I'm not anemic, that I'm not going to fall out one day at work because my blood count is so low. And I've been at work where the room starts spinning, or I'm driving and all of a sudden I'm dizzy, and just knowing that I could die from having low blood count, and now I don't worry about that. Yeah, sorry. Right now I'm not in a relationship, but I think it would be so different than the experience before. Just having a libido just having a libido makes a huge difference, because before it was like, sex, what? What's that, So that's a huge change.
I did not know I had fibroids. I didn't know what fibroids were. So when I actually had a miscarriage, and the doctor advised me that I had fibroids. So and she told me I wouldn't be able to have kids until I got them removed. She told me that there would be a procedure where they would have to go in and cut them out, and I would have to wait probably a year or so before I could actually even try to have any children. I found out about the Fibroid Treatment Collective. Honestly, I was hearing about it on KJLH, and I didn't even think anything of it. I thought it was just one of those silly commercials that was just trying to get money. I was convinced about the embolization when I attended the webinars. Not only that, Dr. McLucas, he explained the process completely. And it seemed really, and mind you, I never had any major surgery, so I'm completely terrified. Like, I've never been under the needle, the knife, no nothing. But the way he explained it, the staff was so nice. He was like, it's a non-invasive surgery. You won't really feel anything. You'll be up and running the next day. And I was like, this is too good to be true, so I have to try it. Well, my uterus was the size of pretty much like a small watermelon, like a cantaloupe. And before, I would have heavy, long, painful periods. And in result of that, I was anemic. So I would lose a lot of blood. I would have migraines after, lightheaded. But after the embolization, like, my periods were so light. Like, it was like unbelievable. It's like, is this normal? So not only that, I had a lot more energy. I had no more migraines. I went back to the doctor, got tested. I wasn't anemic anymore. Now I had a hard time with my first son. I was in the hospital for 5 weeks because of the fibroids. And now I'm pregnant again. and I am very excited. The fibroids have shrunk, and I'm just really excited to see how this pregnancy will unfold, because I'm just elated. We're hoping, my husband and I, we're hoping for a girl. We have a boy. He's very active, so we need something to kind of to mellow it out and to kind of bring some, and hey, I need another girl in my life. I have a bunch of boys, so I think that'll be great.
The worst part of having fibroids is how you have to make accommodations. Your life truly changes. You work around the fibroids. I would go to the office. It didn't matter where I went. I had to make accommodations. And it becomes your new normal. And you know you have to live day by day, and how am I going to get through this day? Fibroids definitely affect my desire for sex, because you're not in the mood. I didn't have much of a libido, and it was just something I didn't want to deal with. In addition, it was very painful. And I knew I didn't want to have a hysterectomy, and I did not want to go through a third myomectomy. Unfortunately, there's an opportunity for them to recur, and that was my situation. I had a recurrence, and they came back with a vengeance. So I went from having 4 to 5 removed to, with my second myomectomy, I had over 20 fibroids that were removed. I did my research, and I learned about Dr. McLucas. The Fibroid Treatment Collective inspired me to get this procedure because it was another option for me. I had already experienced 2 major procedures. I knew in my heart that I didn't want to experience it anymore, but I needed to be free of these symptoms. So basically, they cut off the blood supply. They deprive the fibroids of oxygen, and they cut the blood supply off, so they have no opportunity to continue to grow and thrive. It's such a major difference. They're polar opposite. With my myomectomy, it was a procedure where they cut from one end of my abdomen to the other, and you have stitches, internal stitches and stitches on the outside, compared to going in and you just have a Band-Aid. So they're polar opposites. I love my life. That same year that I had the procedure, my husband and I went on a cruise. We had vacations. I've done rock climbing. I am now in a Zumba class. I'm really taking advantage of my freedom, and it really does feel like you have freedom. My libido improved, and obviously my relationship with my husband improved as well. It's kind of like you've been holding your breath for a very long time, and you're finally allowed to breathe. It was such a relief, and the symptoms they disappeared. I was a little surprised at that. I thought it would be more gradual, but they just disappeared. If I had only known then what I know now, I would never have had 1 myomectomy, let alone 2. And my goal is to pay it forward, to share my experience with other women who were just as ignorant as I was about the procedure, so that they don't have to suffer for years. I've suffered for over 20 years with fibroids, and that is no way to live.
Well, the biggest thing was about 2 years before I had the procedure. I was having intercourse with my partner, and he hit one that was in my uterine wall. And I felt it, and we stopped, and it was fine. But then the next day when I woke up, I began hemorrhaging, and I hemorrhaged for a month straight, like nothing I'd ever experienced before. I was a little bit nervous. It was in the back of my head, like, please don't let that happen again. He was terrified. We were both terrified. The relationship ultimately ended. I mean, we're still friends, but he didn't deal with it very well. He kind of freaked out, and I was left to deal with it on my own. So, I mean, it's fine now. Us women, we're strong. But it was terrifying. My gynecologist said, if this happens again, you're going to need a blood transfusion. So that was when we got serious about it, and that's when she told me about Dr. McLucas and the fibroid embolization procedure. She had several patients with fibroids, and she had referred them to him, and they had wonderful experiences with him. So I went in and I booked a consultation with him. After meeting with him, I was like blown away by the thought of the procedure, because prior to that, the only other options I'd heard of was a myomectomy or hysterectomy. And I want to have children. I know I'm 39, but I'm still ready to have kids and have a family. And the thought of having a myomectomy and being down for whatever it is, like 6 weeks at a time, or a hysterectomy just was not an option for me. It's really, really simple. It's not even considered surgery. It's considered a procedure, which is great. I got up in the morning and went over to the hospital, and everybody took such amazing care of me. They walked me through everything step by step, and when it came time to take me into the room, they make an incision into my artery over here, and they put a catheter in there, and what they do is they go up to the blood vessels that are supplying blood to the fibroid, and they cut off the blood circulation to that fibroid. So essentially the fibroid shrinks and starves itself. I thought about looking into some homeopathic methods, but I really believed that this was my only option, and I felt safe and comfortable with this option. And then I decided, you know what? Actually, I'm going to do this for myself, because I don't want to wait any longer. And when I do meet my right partner, I want to be ready to go to be able to start a family. I don't have cramps at all anymore. Just the confidence with it, and then the security, and just the peace of mind is incredible. I mean, really, I'm kicking myself for not doing it sooner.
When I found out I had fibroids, I can't explain what I felt like. It was more so like, why me? Because we don't understand, why do they happen? Where do they come from? So I did a little research, and I was always hearing the commercials, about embolization. And because I have PPO insurance, I decided to take advantage of it. I've always been a small woman. And I had this pooch. I didn't understand where the pooch was coming from. And it was because I had these fibroids, and it was like I didn't know my uterus was not a normal size. And to look at all these girls, Hollywood makes the girls look glamorous, and they have no stomach, and I always had a little pooch. After the embolization, I felt great in a two-piece bathing suit. It's always a good thing when you're dealing with a doctor and he has a great staff. The staff at Dr. McLucas's office, beforehand and the aftercare, they were A1 as well. I would tell women with fibroids to give the Fibroid Treatment Collective a call. Why would you want to get cut unnecessarily? That's invasive. I had one little puncture wound about the size of a pinhole in my groin. I was back at work in a couple of days. It was great.